It makes sense that you're angry. Your rage makes sense. Let's talk about anger after an affair. I have some couples that come to me and the partner that's been betrayed says, I feel such intense rage. I don't know what to do with it, but it is eating me alive. And their partner will say, yeah, I just want my spouse back. Like, I don't know what to do. I've tried everything to make things better. I'm not sure what to do. And this anger just kind of consumes the relationship. So let's talk about anger, because people have different relationships with anger. You know, for some of us, anger was not an okay emotion to even feel. For others, we may have grown up in homes where anger was expressed in a really violent or scary way. And so we never want to do that to others. Or we may find that impulse coming up where we tend to express anger in a violent or scary way. And that can be scary, not just for the person on the receiving end, but also for ourselves, right? So let's really talk about anger, because it's such a misunderstood emotion. Anger serves a purpose. It is here for a reason, and that reason is to tell you that something has happened that you are not okay with, someone has crossed a boundary, or something has happened that feels completely unfair, and it's your cue that you really want to make sure that this thing never happens again. Right? But anger was never designed to stay in our systems for very long. Emotions are designed to stay in our systems for around 90 seconds. They're not designed to stay there for days or months or years. And I have so many clients who have been holding on to anger for years, because the idea is it's like a protection. If I hold on to this anger, then I'm protecting myself and nothing can hurt me again. So essentially they build a wall, and sometimes they will actually kind of let that wall down for a couple minutes or hours or days, and then they feel really vulnerable again, because it's like, if I let my wall down, something could happen that could hurt me. And so they kind of build up their anger again, or like it comes back in a flash. That wall builds one more time, even stronger than before. So they're constantly keeping this wall up to protect themselves from getting hurt. That's a protection. That's kind of an unconscious coping strategy that we have. Once you've been hurt once, you think it's going to happen again, right? The likelihood of it happening in your own mind feels greater once it's already happened once. So if you've been cheated on, even if you may want to move on and just kind of like have a happy relationship either with your current partner or with a new partner, you may find it really difficult to let go of that anger, because it's your brain and your body trying to protect you from getting hurt ever again. So what can you do about this? Really, it starts with understanding. I think that understanding really helps us to just make different choices. So if you understand that anger is really only designed to be in our bodies for minutes, not days, not weeks, not months, not years, then you can say to yourself, okay, this anger is here. So this anger is here. It's here, and it's actually fueling my body into action, which can look like wanting to hit or punch something, wanting to throw something at the wall, wanting to express in some way, because it's there and it's taking up so much space. It's saying, I need something to change. So what I want you to do when you start to feel the anger, as early as possible, catch it as early as possible. Tell yourself, I'm feeling really angry right now. My body is trying to tell me something. Instead of standing here and expressing my anger and my reactivity to my partner, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a different location. I am going to take a few deep breaths. I'm going to do something physical for a minute. Like I'm going to like dance around, or some people can like scream into a pillow, or just scream out in general. If you don't have any kids or anything in the house, you can do that. Do some air punches, like do something to allow that anger to pass through your body and to release some of that stress. And then write in your journal. Write out, I'm feeling really angry. My anger is telling me that I'm still thinking about this affair that happened. I'm not okay with it. I need something to be different. I'm feeling really helpless or powerless, whatever it is. And just putting words to your emotion is going to help that emotion pass through your system a lot quicker than starting a fight with your partner. And then if that thought is still present and still relevant to you once you're done this exercise, and once you're feeling calm, I would give yourself like at least 20 minutes. Once you're feeling calm, you can go in and talk to your partner. You can tell your partner, listen, this thing is going on for me. I'm feeling angry. I'm trying not to rage out at you. So, I'm trying to like figure out what's going on myself, but I do need to tell you that this thing is still on my mind. If you decide to take my After an Affair course, you'll have all the tools that you need to be able to have that conversation. But it's really important to, before you approach your spouse or your partner, to really do the work of allowing your anger to pass through your system, doing something physical to get rid of it, putting words to it, because putting words to it actually, it's like a processing tool where it allows both sides of your brains to work together, so that the part of your brain that's feeling the intense emotions and the part of your brain that's able to like verbalize things in a logical fashion and organize things in a logical fashion, they get together and your body feels calmer, because it's like, oh, if I can put words to this, then I can understand it and I don't feel so out of control. So putting words to it is really important. Writing it out, calling a friend, even just saying it out loud to yourself can be so super helpful. Like, this is how I'm feeling, this is why I'm feeling it, this is what's going on for me. And then give yourself time to allow that to pass through your body, and then take the message of that and share the message with your partner. That's a really important thing. You don't need to share your reactivity with your partner to get results. You really need to share your message with your partner. And that's something that many of us don't quite understand. But once you do understand it, it gives you so much freedom, because then you can feel whatever you need to feel whatever you do feel, but you don't have to feel out of control about it. This is part of self-regulating, and it's going to be so beneficial, not just for your relationship, but also for yourself, to feel like you can manage anything that comes your way. So that's what you can do in the short term. When the anger comes up, those are your steps. Now, in the long term, I want you to think about anger a slightly different way. Anger activates a part of you that feels unjust, unfair, a part of you that maybe was wounded as a child, a part of you that wants justice for yourself, wants to be treated fairly. And that part of you is incredibly valid, and it makes so much sense. And it's also trying to protect you. So when anger comes up, that part of you that wants to protect you is activated. And sometimes that self-protection can last a very, very, very long time. It can actually be never ending. So we have to approach that part of us by honoring it. And so I'm going to ask you to do something that seems kind of silly, and ask you to actually talk to your emotions. So what it might look like is, anger, I hear you. Thank you so much for showing up, because I know you're showing up to protect me, and I know you really just want the best for me, and you don't want to see me get hurt ever again. I'm okay. I'm going to be okay. I'm choosing to focus right now on joy rather than anger. So I'm going to ask you to step aside a little bit so that I can let the joyful part of myself come out. So this is like an internal family systems type of technique. This technique will allow you to create some separation in your own mind between yourself and the anger. Right? Because the anger is not you. It feels like it's you. It feels like it's overtaking you, but it's not actually you. So when you're able to create that separation, then you can choose, what part of myself do I want to bring out? I want to bring out the part of myself that trusts. I want to bring out the part of myself that believes that even though this awful thing happened, either we as a couple or myself as an individual can move past this, and I don't need to let this define my life or my relationship. So what you're doing is you're just sort of empowering yourself to allow the anger to step aside. When you allow the anger to step aside and you allow another part of you to come forth, and you actually focus on another part of you, the part of you that wants to be trusting, the part of you that wants to feel joy, the part of you that wants to just live your life and not be consumed with the affair, then you're taking back your power, essentially. You're taking back control. Then no matter what happens, you feel in control of yourself. And, trusting someone is a two-way street. It takes them doing a lot of things to show you that they're trustworthy. And it also takes you flexing that trust muscle, allowing yourself to feel trusting again, right? So gaining control of your anger, or empowering yourself to allow your anger to step aside and another part of yourself to come forward, is going to help you to eventually even create trust in your relationship right now, in your current relationship, or in your next relationship. the anger will still kind of be there, but you won't be paying as much attention to it. And here's the thing, when we can choose which part of ourselves to pay attention to, then we have freedom, because those parts of ourselves exist. They're not just going to go away because we ask them to. They're not just going to go away because we want them to. They exist, but we get to decide what part of ourselves we are focused on. We get to decide. So when you can say, okay, I know the anger's there, I'm thinking it, I'm honoring it, and I'm also choosing to bring a different part of myself forward, that's your freedom. And let's really talk about why you want to do this. There are 4 different scenarios after an affair. The first one is you hold on to your anger and you stay in the relationship, and that anger slowly infects you and your partner and your relationship, and it makes your environment a miserable place to live. Second option, you hold on to your anger and you leave the relationship. And that anger sits inside of you and you're reminded of it, maybe not as often because you've left the relationship, so you might not have as many triggers, but when the next partner comes around, the anger kind of comes back because our brains tend to kind of group things by how similar they are. And so your next relationship might remind you of your previous relationship, and that anger will come up and you'll have to do the work then, or live with it, and it will still slowly infect you in your relationship. The third option is you choose to allow your anger to step aside and focus on other parts of yourself and stay in the relationship. And in that situation, you can really just work on rebuilding trust, rebuilding connection, on working on the relationship itself without the anger distracting you or clouding your judgment. The fourth option is you decide to let that anger step aside, focus on other parts of yourself, and you choose to leave the relationship. And in that situation, you're actively working on yourself, you're actively working on feeling good about yourself, and when you get into your next relationship, that anger is not going to be at the front and center, and it's not going to be infecting you the way that it would if you held on to it and focused on it. So those are your 4 options. I would suggest giving yourself a timeline. That anger, it's going to take a little bit of time to kind of figure out how to let that other part of yourself, maybe the joyful part or the peaceful part or the more content part, the part that says to you, this is going to work out, we're going to be okay, or I'm going to be okay, I can choose to leave, I can choose to stay, I have options, that part of yourself that feels more empowered. Focusing on that part of yourself, it's going to take a little bit of practice. And so you don't want to make any decisions impulsively. So give yourself a timeline between 4 months and 12 months. Decide to give yourself some time to figure out how to feel more empowered, and then you can make a decision about whether to stay or go. Of course, if you've only been with your partner for a few months, you might not need that much time to deliberate. If you've been with your partner for several years, or you own property together, or you have children or something, it might take a bit longer to decide whether to stay or go. But you don't want the anger to be the deciding factor, right? You don't want that anger to be the deciding factor. Because I have couples who come into session on day 1, they're super angry. And once we figure out how to allow themselves to focus on another part of themselves, they decide that, oh, I know I wanted to leave before when I was really angry, but now I really think I'd like to stay. You want clarity to be present so you can make this decision, and anger often clouds our judgment, which is why it's not designed to stick around for very long, right? It's not designed to be at the front and center for very long. The thing that I'll end on is make sure that when you're feeling angry, you take some space, because I have some clients who, when they feel angry, they tend to be violent or aggressive in a way that feels really scary and disrupts the safety of the relationship. And I know affairs already disrupt the safety of the relationship, I'm well aware. But 2 wrongs don't make a right. You know what I'm saying? Like, the affair has disrupted the safety. You don't want your anger to further disrupt the safety of the relationship, not just for your partner's sake, but also for your own sake. Feeling out of control of our bodies and our emotions can be a really scary thing. So when you're feeling that anger, know that it makes sense. Also know to walk away from the situation, take several deep breaths, and then go do something active. If at all possible, go for a run. Heavy bags are great. If you can get a heavy bag and some boxing gloves, that will really help your rage. Your body needs a way to release the tension that anger has built up in it, to release that stress. So the whole point of this video is really to recognize that anger is not designed to stay in our bodies for very long. It's to realize that you have a choice. You can hold on to this anger or let it go. Figure out what your anger is telling you, thank it, honor it, and then decide what part of yourself you really want to focus on. And if you're having trouble releasing that anger, go for a run, do a heavy bag boxing workout, do something active to get some of that stress out, and take space from your partner when you're feeling angry. Because if you stay around your partner, the chances of something happening that you in any other state would not be okay with are higher than if you decide to just take a little break, walk away, spend a couple hours on your own or with a close friend, do something to release that stress, and then you can come back and talk to your partner when you're in a relaxed state. Because to have a productive conversation, especially about something that's as heart-wrenching as an affair, you need two calm bodies. I hope this has helped you to understand your anger a little bit better, and also to recognize that you do have a choice when it comes to anger. It's not easy by any means, but it's a very worthwhile decision to make. How am I going to interact with my anger? How am I going to express my anger? How am I going to release my anger? So I hope this video has given you some options when it comes to your anger, so that you don't feel stuck when that anger shows up. You don't feel like the victim of the anger, or you don't feel powerless around the anger. I really want you to feel empowered with all of your emotions. Please like, comment, share this video with someone that you know who could benefit from it. And I'm Jena. I am a couples counselor in beautiful Burnaby, British Columbia, and I will see you in the next video.